What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Gaming Outsider. This week, we're asking, why do some gamers cheat? Lots of news to discuss, including the postponing of GDC due to coronavirus, as well as a possible new Silent Hill game from Kojima Productions. We've also been playing some new games, so you hear our thoughts on 2 Point Hospital, Evoland, a game called Stone, and finally, Zombie Army 4 Dead War. Just please make sure you wash your hands before listening. This is the Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to episode 284 of the Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community. It's Monday, March 2nd. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and I'm joined by my friend who bought a new toy this weekend, Mr. Chris Behrensmeyer. You want to tell everybody what new venture the Gaming Outsider is in for?
Stuff and things. No, I bought a 3D printer, and it's been fun. A lot of fun.
So that thing's been running pretty much 24/7 since you installed it, I assume, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So we're looking for new ways to raise some revenue to put towards R2V2. And Chris has decided to start printing game-related paraphernalia, will we say?
Yes, I have.
I think your first order that you printed that looked legit, that wasn't like the test thing or whatever, was the Resident Evil keys from Resident Evil 1. You hand-painted them. They look pretty snazzy.
Oh, yeah.
They look pretty good, so stay tuned for more. You got any other ideas up your sleeve that you'd care to share with everybody?
Let's see. I've got some Fallout stuff that I've started printing.
Yeah, you did that Nuka-Cola coaster. That came out pretty good.
Yeah, it did. I've got some Zelda items, some Metroid stuff. Nate and I actually were just talking about this. Jordan Derringer High actually asked if we could print a Mortal Kombat medallion.
Oh, that would be cool. You could actually paint that the right colors, and that would be legit.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you have any ideas, feel free to drop them on our Facebook page. I actually feel like we should make a thread, like just tack it at the beginning of the Facebook thing, and people can just drop ideas in there.
Yeah, or if they have access to the files, we can print them, paint them up.
Yeah. So
I like it. So stay tuned for more. We're looking at putting some kind of storefront together, whether it be on our website or on like an Etsy page or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. I'm thinking about picking one up myself, beef up production a little bit, have some goodies at R2V2. But and speaking of R2V2, are we announcing the date yet? Can we at least say the date?
Yeah, you can say the date. I feel
we can say the date.
I feel comfortable on the date.
All right, so we've got a date picked for R2V2, but we can't say who our VIPs yet publicly because only 2 of them are 100% confirmed, and I guess one of them is probably like 99% confirmed. But anyway, September, now I'm going to have to look, is it 19th and 20th?
Yes.
September 19th and 20th. We're actually going to try to go for 2 days this year instead of doing a 12-hour day, which wound up being way more exhausting than any of us anticipated. We're going to shoot for 2 shorter days, like an 8-hour day and then maybe a 6-hour day on Sunday. We're still toying with the hours, but we'll definitely have some more information. But save the date. This is your save the date reminder. Put that date on the calendar if you would like to attend R2V2. And trust me, after you hear the guests, if we can make them happen, you're going to want to attend. It's going to be awesome. I'm super, super excited. Still working on a venue. We're going to try to find a bigger place this year. Hopefully we'll have that wrapped up in the next week, and by the time we record next week, we will have more details about when, where, and who will be there attending. But I'm already shaking like a leaf about pulling this thing off again.
Hey man, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Don't you worry.
I hope so. How's your week been, man?
Busy, really busy. I've been.
See, you
printing.
Say busy.
Printing.
Yeah, you say busy, but you're busy printing.
Printing, painting, doing stuff around the house.
Yeah.
Working. Yeah. I mean, come on. I work 24-hour shifts, man. Like when I get off, I like to enjoy my days.
Fair enough. I am in the middle of report card season and student conference season, so I'm very much looking forward to next week when those are done. But this weekend, I'm actually doing something really cool. I thought you were coming with me, but, work and stuff made that not a possibility. But I'm going to be heading up to Minneapolis this weekend for the Video Game Music Convention. I'm actually meeting Grant Henry up there, who does the theme music for our podcast, as well as he's behind the band Stemmage and Metroid Metal. So I finally get to meet him in person for the first time. Very, very excited about that. I'm also going to be hanging out with Josh Ershman, who is one of our contributing writers. So we're going to be doing some stuff together. He is very excited to show me some of his VR stuff. He's got a pretty cool rig, apparently. He's got a Rift S, I believe. Okay. And he wants to show that off. So I'm going to have a good time. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm going to try to... I don't even know, because this is a video game music convention, so I don't know if there's going to be vendors like selling retro games, if I'm going to be on the hunt for you. I don't know if there's going to be any kind of stuff like that, but my goal, and you and I have talked about this a little bit, is I'm really hoping that when R2V2 hits, we can actually do a bit of an after party. Try to, collaborate with the local bar and have some kind of, mini music festival in the evening of the Saturday night for R2V2, where we can have some video game bands come play. But I've never done that before, so I don't know how to go about that 100% yet. But I figure best place to start is to go to one of these conventions, meet some of these bands, and introduce myself. So
yeah, I mean, it should be a fun time. I mean, if I didn't have to work, I would have loved going up there and hang out with Grant and Josh. There's actually a restaurant in Minneapolis that I love to go to. So
is it Hell's Kitchen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went there and I had porridge.
Oh man, it's all about the Juicy Lucy there.
What's a Juicy Lucy?
So it's a burger where they actually bake like a cheddar cheese puck in the center of it. So when you bite into it, it's got like hot cheese in the center. It's really, really good.
Well, it's funny you say that, because we have Lucy number 7 up in Beloit that does the same thing, and it also has Lucy in the title, which is
it's not as good. I've had it.
No, I'm not saying I can't compare. They both have Lucy in the title, which I thought was a weird coincidence. It's like their signature thing. They stuff burgers with stuff.
Yeah. So it comes from somewhere else, but that was like my first like foray into that type of burger. I've found it at other places, but it's not as good as the first time, man.
I hear ya. Did you get a chance to play the Final Fantasy VII demo that dropped today on PSN?
No, because I didn't like the news about it that also dropped.
The news that Red 13 is not going to be playable in this version?
Yep.
Well, to be fair, it's not going to be playable in even version's not the right word, in this episode, because this is going to be a very episodic game. So he's not going to be playable, but it kind of makes sense if you think about it, because from what everybody is saying, the story is going to cut off somewhere shortly after Midgar, which is where you run into Red 13. So they said, the developers are saying, Square Enix is saying that he'll be in your party, but not as a playable character. But since he's not going to be in much of the story at the end of the game, it didn't make sense to make him playable, but he will be playable in the next episode. And that kind of makes sense.
Did they actually say for certain that he's playable in the next episode?
From what I read.
Okay. Yeah. So I just got to that point and I was like, I'm mad. I don't want to play this now.
Well, I mean, you think about it. If you meet him at the end of the game, what's the point of having any stats or anything for that little bit of time? You're going to have to start all over again. Unless those stats carried over, which I guess wouldn't be that hard to do.
Well, yeah, but that's also part of the point. Like, if the stats do carry over, just give me access to them now. Because
we don't know. We don't know.
If the stats reset, I'll just start playing it the second episode then, because why would I want to waste all that time?
That's true. But still, I mean, I wonder if, like, whenever this thing comes out as a box set, because it's going to happen, right? After all these release, you can get the entire disc set. Do they make them playable then? Because it's not really at the end of the episode anymore. It's like a whole big long string of game. Why not just let you play as him there?
Yeah, I don't know. See, here's the thing. The last time I remember playing Final Fantasy VII, getting all the way through Midgar didn't take that long.
Well, I mean, you had the part where you had to go into the Lady of the Night House. I'm trying to say that in a non-vulgar way. Was it Don Cornero? Is that the character's name?
Mark Hamill himself.
Yeah, I mean, there's some stretches in there. You had the whole reactor sequence at the beginning, which wasn't too long. But from what I read from Jason Schreier's article that he posted this morning, he played about 3 hours of it and said that there is a lot more going on than the main storyline. He seemed kind of bothered by it, so I'm not really sure what to take of it. But I'll take it at this point. From what I played of the demo, I'm very excited for this game.
I'll come over and check your copy out.
Okay. You're not going to pick it up?
I told you, man, without Red 13, I have no interest.
Because one character's not playable, you have no interest in the game? He was cool, but it wasn't like a game. That's not like a deal breaker, is it?
It was my favorite character, man. Like, that is the one character outside of Cloud that, like, never left my party. Like, I
really?
Didn't care. Beginning to end. It was Cloud, Sid, and Red 13.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
like I never even really had Aerith in my party.
Well, it was kind of a waste.
So
a waste of XP, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I really didn't care for Tifa's character, and so yeah, it's just I've always liked Sid because Sid is like the character that carries through like all the games.
Mm-hmm.
And then Red 13 because he's a big red dog, man. He's Clifford.
Well, to be fair, Sid's character doesn't carry through the game, just his name does, right?
Yeah, like Biggs and Wedge.
Yeah. One thing we should mention, if you're wondering why you haven't heard Zach's voice yet, unfortunately, we found at the last minute due to a scheduling conflict, he was not able to be here to join us tonight. So it will be just Chris and I manning the ship tonight. Hope you guys are okay with that, and we'll keep going on. One other quick thing I want to mention, they also Valve dropped a 3 different gameplay trailers for Half-Life Alyx today. People seem to be really excited about that. Did you get a chance to check those out?
I watched some of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm already sold just because it's in the Half-Life universe.
See, and I'm stuck in that spot where I'm the guy that hasn't played Half-Life, so I don't really have any connection, but I guess I don't have to if this is a prequel, so I have that unique experience of starting with the prequel and then maybe going to the games, but I played Half-Life 2, and the gameplay has not aged very well, so...
Oh, for you.
For me, well, it hasn't aged for someone that didn't play it.
That's,
you know what I mean?
That's true. I mean, I definitely have nostalgia goggles for that game.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that game, like beyond the shadow of a reasonable doubt. Like it's one of my favorite games of all time.
I just got to see what everybody's talking about because I played the first couple hours and I'm like, yeah, it's a PC shooter. It's you can pick up stuff and manipulate stuff and it does nothing for the gameplay so far. So I'm just waiting to see what everybody's all excited about.
Well, I mean, for its time, it was pretty revolutionary with.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt that.
Quite the physics engine. So
right. I do think the one thing that stood out to me is that they are giving you the option of playing the game either in full motion or with the, what do you call it, like the teleportation mode, where you know how in like Vader Immortal you can kind of space a target ahead of you and then you just kind of zip forward to it.
Yeah,
which
teleport.
Which strangely made me feel queasy more than just moving around for some reason. But a lot of people are excited about Half-Life Alyx. So yeah, that comes out this month. March is ramping up. There's a lot of stuff coming out this month. So the drought is almost over, guys.
Thank God.
We're almost there. So with that, let's jump into the week's news. A lot of people might have seen this one coming, but unfortunately, GDC was postponed this week. How do you feel about that, CB?
I'm a little sad, but I mean, I understand the thought behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because originally I was actually going to try to go to GDC this year.
Yeah, we were talking about that like a month or two ago.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the coronavirus is a thing, and people are worried about it. So,
well, you got to remember with GDC, there's a lot of developers that come from overseas. It's not just people coming from the United States traveling; they're traveling internationally. So, there's some legitimate concern. I'm still kind of on the fence as to how to feel about this whole scare right now because that's all that we're hearing about on the news. So I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I don't know how serious it is. I don't know how scared I'm supposed to be. So I'm just kind of in sit and wait mode because there's literally nothing we can do. But yeah, they said that they're going to bring it back sometime this summer. My fear is that this kind of just keeps going on throughout the year, because if this thing gets worse before it gets better, as everybody is saying it's going to happen, then this kind of thing is going to keep happening at other things. We got into E3 this year. We booked our flights. We booked our Airbnb. Is this thing going to get canceled and we're going to have wasted a trip out to Los Angeles?
Yeah. I kind of have a little bit of skepticism about things keep getting canceled, because if you're going to cancel every major convention, because ideally you're canceling it because it's a lot of people coming together in a small space at once.
Well, yeah, everybody talks about having the plague after they come from these conventions, whether it be PAX or GDC or E3.
Well, here's the thing. I can think of sports teams, big racing events like NASCAR. The auto shows that happen in like Chicago, Detroit, all those. What about other major events? Is everybody just going to be like, let's all just stay indoors?
Well, I mean, I know we're not anywhere near the level of China is, but if you've seen any of the videos from China when they shut down, man. Construction sites shut down. The streets were empty. There was no cars moving. Everybody just stayed at home. It was a very eerie sight to see. And again, that's the epicenter. That's where the whole thing started. And apparently, from what I've heard, it wasn't handled quite the best, and it spread far too quickly. But we've had several cases in the United States, but 6 deaths, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is. It feels like something legitimate to keep on your radar, but there's nothing we can do about it unless it's just a straight up outbreak. I can't see me not going to LA myself.
My biggest thing is it's an unfortunate disease. At the same time, we've had close to over 12,000 deaths from the flu last year.
Right.
So 6 versus 12,000.
Well, you got to look at the numbers too, and I know that this is getting way more science, but the mortality rate for this is supposed to be something like 20 times the mortality rate of the common flu that you're talking about. So,
I understand. Biggest advice I can give to everybody, because I work as a paramedic: wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
Jesus, just wash your hands, please.
I know it's because I keep hearing it on TV and everything, but I seriously have been washing my hands like 20 something times a day now. And what do they say? You got to sing "Happy Birthday" twice. That's how long you need to do it.
Once is fine.
Yeah. So, but anyway, my question has to do with the financial ramifications that this does for the event organizers. Because if the whole thing's done, I mean, they mentioned that they were still going to have like the awards presentation, which they were going to stream live. But a lot of these developers are just not coming. Are they going to be able to recoup any of those costs? Are these people getting refunds for their tickets, or are they just going to be good for whenever they reschedule this? Well, I'm really curious. As a person that has organized an event at a much smaller scale than GDC, I'm really curious how that works.
Well, they're probably going to give option for postponed tickets. If you can't make that, then I'm sure there's the probability that you could get them refunded. On top of that, big event organizers, they have insurance on these types of events. So if the event doesn't happen, they have insurance to at least recoup the costs that they put into it.
Yeah, but does that insurance policy include if you cancel the event?
If you cancel the event due to a medical situation, I'm sure there's ones that do.
Well, I'm thinking about this whole thing even further, because let's hypothetically say that this happens to E3 and and PAX and other future things. So we have a year where these big conferences aren't happening, and the sales for these video games still just go through the roof. There's still not any problems. Next year, are these developers going to look at these conferences, in-person, press-the-flesh events, as viable from a financial standpoint when they can just market online and get copies of games to people from the press and do their own little Nintendo Direct for their own thing. Is this could that happen where just these in-person events just become irrelevant?
I don't think so, because we still had PAX over the weekend.
Right.
Like, PAX still happened. I know it's not as big, but C2E2 just happened over the weekend as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, these are still big events. People like to go to these events. They like to be wowed in person. Like, the grand spectacle of things, I guess, is what a lot of people look forward to. I mean, every year, like, movie lovers, they have the Emmys and the Oscars, the Golden Globe Awards, like all those. Everybody tunes in and watches those. Gamers, we have E3 and GDC and a couple other ones.
Yeah, but that's the difference, is we tune into the Emmys and we tune in to the Grammys and the Oscars. Granted, we can tune into E3, but does it need to be something where reporters and journalists have to actually be at these places? Can it just be like where you've got IGN reporting from their base of operations, watching these live streams and then commenting on it and giving details, and people follow that way?
Well, yes and no. You have to remember, video games are a physical media.
Right.
Not so much the actual like discs and everything, but to play these games, you have to have something in your hands to experience this.
Right, which you can send somebody a code, they can download, and they can play it.
Yeah, but with a lot of these games being early access, or how E3 works with these big events where they take like a digital slice of the game, like a 15-minute period, would you really want that out in the wild where you physically can't control it as a developer?
Depends on the game, I suppose, but if it's a cheaper alternative than flying a team of people around the other side of the world, and paying them whatever you're paying them to work for the week. I mean, I'm just thinking of it as from a business standpoint, and I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm just it brings these questions to my mind. Like, what is the future of these conferences with this kind of stuff going on? Is this going to be a telling sign? Is this going to be like, hey, we were thinking of pulling out of E3 like Sony did, but we just kept going because we felt like we should, and now that it doesn't exist and we're still seeing the sales numbers, we're just not going to bother next year?
I still don't see it happening, because you have too many smaller developers that don't have the time, budget, or resources to pull off an event like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not everybody can be like Bethesda and have a 24-hour like watch our stream and do things.
Well, I mean, that wasn't expensive to do there. Remember their Fallout 76 24-hour deal? Yep.
That's what I was talking about. So
that was a fun day.
But there's a lot of smaller developers where it's not as cost effective for them to send out like a digital slice of their game. And on top of that, once those pieces of the game get out in the wild, how many times have people taken a game and sat there and broke through the code and found like all these hidden things in the game?
Right.
And they're like, oh, well, we didn't want them to know that this is being implemented in this game. Or, hey, we were looking through your code and we saw that this is implemented in your game, and then the final product came out and this wasn't in there. Why didn't you leave this in there? So
you think the controlled environment is still vitally important for a lot of developers?
Yes, because it is very much a test market as well, to see how people are reacting to the games in person. Like, oh man, look at the reactions on their face. Like, they're actually loving this. Versus getting a report back and they're like, yeah, we thought it was a good game.
Well, and to your point about, fans like to go see the spectacle. I mean, we've even seen E3. I mean, hell, they let us go to it, for the past 3 years. It's become less of a press event and more of, they're letting people come in. They just buy a gamer pass. It's becoming a celebration of games more than a place for journalists to learn information to share with their listeners and or readers and whatnot. Could we see E3 become more akin to something like PAX, where people are coming for the spectacle and the spectacle is still there, but it's no longer for the press; it's for the fans.
I could see it moving in that direction. So, I mean, last year I didn't go last year, so I actually watched the stream and I remember watching on Mixer, the Xbox one, and they had the little counter down in the corner how many people were watching, and there was like close to 1 million.
Right.
So as much as you're like, oh yeah, well it's not quite the Emmys and everything, but I've watched E3 now every year for like the last 5 years in a row, streaming online. It's getting to that point. So because they are opening it up to the public more and more, it is becoming that big grand spectacle event for every year. Granted, Sony didn't make it last year and they're not coming this year, but it is still a very big event. I mean, I loved watching Todd Howard come out on the stage, watching Andrew WK open for him. Granted, Rage 2 wasn't all that great, but
well, time will tell. It's going to be an interesting year, especially because this is a new console generation cycle starting, or supposed to start at the end of this year. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. So let's go ahead and move on, though. I got another story here. Kojima Productions might be working on a Silent Hill game. This is a bit speculation, but Kojima, they posted a tweet with a picture of the head of communications, Aki Saito, and the tweet is basically a picture of him sitting at a desk, and he says something to the effect of, can't wait to show you what we've got, can't say anything yet, have to be silent right now. So he said the word silent, and then if you look closely, the pencil that he's holding has the word pyramid on it, which, if you know anything about the Silent Hill series, is a reference to Pyramid Head, the bad guy in that game. And on the pad of paper is written the words "next week." So by the time you hear this podcast, it will already be next week since that tweet dropped. But what do you think? So you might actually already have that announcement before we even release this podcast. But what do you think, CB? Could it be a Silent Hill game, or is Konami going to let go?
It could be, but I have a feeling it's a bit of a stretch. I mean, keep in mind, Pyramid makes pencils. There's a lot of them out there.
Right.
I mean, if they really need to do something, because unfortunately, Death Stranding wasn't as amazing as a lot of people hoped it was going to be.
It sold just fine.
It sold fine, but it's still not like the greatest game ever, like everybody thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I want it to be a Silent Hill game, because after the whole PT and Silent Hills thing, I feel it's time for a new game. Just please don't make it a walking weird simulator.
I'm with you.
Like I
don't know. I think that's too much of a coincidence to have the word silent in there and to have the word pyramid, because first off, who uses pencils at a desk anymore?
I do.
Okay. You're a weirdo.
Yes, I am.
Most people use pens, right? Not only that, he had to have... how many different ways can you hold that pencil and hide the word pyramid? It was done in such a way that was clearly visible right near where he had written on the pad. He wanted to draw your eye to the pad that said "next week" on it.
Yep.
And
I'm really hoping this. I'm gonna laugh. This turns out to just be like, look, we're making a Silent Hill mobile game. Ha 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 ha.
Well, I would actually rather this whole thing was nothing than it was a Silent Hill mobile game, because that would just
to me, that picture felt like clickbait.
I mean, they did it.
I know it felt like clickbait.
Well, it worked.
So
I don't know. I'm really curious, because the big question here is the relationship of Kojima and Konami back with the split. Part of me has a hard time believing that they were able to mend any kind of relationship, because we still don't know what happened, but the impression was that it was pretty ugly, right?
Yeah.
So it would be a huge reveal if they somehow worked out some kind of deal to get those rights over to Kojima Productions, because they're not doing anything with it but making pachinko machines.
Yeah. Well, weren't they going to try to make a Silent Hill game, but a Silent Hill-esque type game, but it was going to be like Fog?
Fog?
I'd heard a rumor that they were making a Silent Hill-esque type game, but it was going to be called Fog, because you can't call it Silent Hill because Kojima has the rights to Silent Hill and Pyramid Head and all that.
That would have been the lamest name ever. I'm sorry. Just fog.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a movie called The Fog, I guess.
There's been two. There was the original and a remake.
Yes. Yeah.
So, but I believe they were, I think the project name was actually called Fog, and they were making that, and it was supposed to be Silent Hills-esque, but I know they can't use the nurse, they can't use Pyramid Head, and they can't use the name Silent Hill.
All right. What's left?
Creepy things in the fog.
Yeah, it's not good enough. It's got to be in the universe, right? It's got to be in the universe.
Here's the thing. What does every Silent Hill game had in common? Like, you have to walk through fog and find creepy things.
Yeah, but still, there's got to be some continuity. All right, well, we won't linger on that too long since it is just speculation at this point, but hopefully we'll find out this week what exactly that means, and it wasn't just a tease. Last thing I want to bring up in news is we've got some new trailers to talk about. We had a trailer for Predator Hunting Grounds. It was more of a gameplay teaser, but they showed some stuff. We had something from Platinum Games called Project GG, and then we had a trailer from Yacht Club Games for Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon. Did any of these do anything for you?
Yep, they did.
Which one?
Project GG.
I have no idea what is going on in this trailer.
Dude, there's kaiju and Ultraman. Like,
yeah,
that's all you need to know. Like, that's great.
Well, maybe you can answer this question for me, because someone brought up to me that Beautiful Joe 2, and Wonderful 101 are all in the same universe. Is that true?
I'm not 100% sure, but if you look at the art style and direction, they all feel in the same universe.
And so what somebody was saying is that this is the next natural progression, but like you said, it had a very Ultraman vibe. And then the kaiju, we didn't see any gameplay, we didn't see anything but cutscenes,
But he saved the doggy. He saved the dog. The Doge.
Really curious. I don't know how I feel about Predator Hunting Grounds. I feel like the 4-on-1 type of game is such a tough nut to crack in terms of balancing. And we know from like games like Evolve that I feel like failed miserably.
Yeah, I remember they shut down the servers for that.
I know that Friday the 13th you were a big fan of, but
still
that
love
game
it.
didn't look the greatest, and
Yeah, I mean, I still love it. If they didn't have their debacles with the original IP owners, I still that game was actually starting to grow in popularity, and then just boop.
Was it?
So,
but I don't know. They got the sounds, they got the music. It feels like Predator. It really does. I'm really worried about balancing. How do you make 4-on-1 work in a way that seems fair for both sides? You know, we talk about how I always loved Gears because it was always balanced. You know, nobody had any extra abilities or skill points or anything. It was just team versus team, as long as you had the same number of players, obviously.
But see, these types of games, I don't want them balanced. I want the person who's the one to be overpowered. Like, that's why I liked Friday the 13th, and that game was fun to play. Like, you had to work together and get good to survive.
Right.
Evolve, like, I always felt bad for whoever was the monster, because I'm like, you're going to get the crap kicked out of you.
No chance.
Yeah. So
I didn't even play it. I take it back. I played the beta.
I want Predator Hunting Grounds to like work. I want it to succeed because I want what comes next.
What's that? Terminator?
Nope. I want Alien in the same thing. I want to be a xenomorph and just run through something and just tear people up.
I mean, how would you do that, though? I mean, with Predator, at least he's got the abilities and you've got these Marines. With Alien, you've got Space Marines, I suppose, but
no,
Alien
you could
was
do
just...
it in but see, that's the great thing is you could do it in the different movies. Like you have Alien 1, where it was the crew of the Nostromo. 2, you could have it so you have multiple aliens and like 2 aliens and 8 Marines or something. Alien 3, they had no weapons. Like that's the fun thing about that game is you just drop the alien into like random situations and be like, go.
That's actually a really good point. Yeah. Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon is a puzzle game. It looks clever. It's not what I play Shovel Knight games for, though, or the puzzles. I just love the platforming and the music. Still, I'll check it out. It looks like a lot of fun. I hope it's on Switch and not I worry when a game is called Pocket Dungeon, because I feel like if it's on my phone, I'm less apt to play it a ton. But I don't know. I'll check it out. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on. We are an independently funded podcast, which means that we must pay for our podcast hosting services and website all on our own, which is why we have a Patreon page where fans can contribute monthly to help offset the costs of production, as well as give back to the community. So if you'd like to help us out, you can do so at patreon.com/thegocast. And CB, what do you got for people to listen to right now over there?
We have our VR episode that we did with Spencer Cushing from the community, as well as a Break the Seal episode on Dead Space with Scott Calgaro.
Dude, that was a really fun episode. Like one of the best ones we've had in a while. I really enjoyed talking to Scotch. We call him Scotch because his name is Scott as well. That's how we differentiate. He played through those games for the first time ever, like in a week.
Did he make it through 3?
He didn't make it through 3 by the time we recorded, but he beat it last night.
Oh, okay.
And was very disappointed like we were and kind of let down. So I told him, we warned him, but anyway, that was a really fun episode. If you love Dead Space, you're going to want to check that out. Also, if you sign up for $3 per month, you get access to those episodes as well as every other episode we've ever done for Patreon, which includes our Break the Seal episodes, our Legacy episodes, where we talk about a big franchise and why it was so important to us, and Chris's infamous Games That Aren't For Us episodes, where we he makes us play really crappy games.
It's been a hot minute since we've done one of those.
I know, we got to do one for the month of March for sure. For sure we have to.
Thank God I found a new game to do.
Oh, man. You going to give us a little tease? Or
well, you know I'm a fan of James Rolfe and his channel. Yeah. James and Mike, they have their James and Mike Monday. They played a game called King's Knight, which was made by Squaresoft. I think it was Square or Squaresoft. That was on the original Nintendo. You're in for a treat. This game,
great,
and it's a vertical shooter.
Oh no! What? I'm not gonna play a vertical shooter, man.
But it's a vertical.
What kind of game called King's Knight is a vertical shooter? That doesn't even make any sense.
It's a vertical shooter crossed with like an RPG, not an RPG, but I guess it's kind of an early roguelike.
Okay, well now you're trying to sell me on it a little bit.
So.
All right, well, stay tuned for that. And if you'd like to help out, again, it is patreon.com/thegocast. And with that, we're going to jump into our From the Outside In topic. This week, we lost a video game legend. And although few of us have actually heard of his name before, I know I hadn't, Kazuhisa Hashimoto passed away at the age of 61. He was the creator of what became lovingly known as the Konami Code. So we're going to talk about why people cheat in video games, which will make for an interesting topic. But before we dive into it, I'm curious, Chris, what was your first experience with the Konami Code? Would I be safe in assuming it was Contra?
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
Contra when I first bought it. In fact, because I had an NES growing up, and I learned the Konami Code from a friend in grade school.
Yeah, I learned it on the playground.
So
like, seriously. It became a thing, and it's one of those where when you hear about it, you never think of this as going to be an iconic code. Like you never think of it, but it was just ubiquitous with video games when we were growing up. Of course, it was going to become a thing, right?
Oh yeah, I mean the fact that it's still around is hilarious. Yeah. I bought Jameson, my 3-year-old. I bought him one of those toy controllers that if you actually enter it, it makes exclusive noises if you enter the Konami Code.
Oh, that's hilarious. I actually learned a really interesting fact about the Konami Code this week. I don't know if you knew this, but the guy who made it, whose name I just said, Hashimoto, he was developing the game. And the game was hard. I think the first appearance of it was in Gradius. How do you pronounce that? I've always wondered.
Gradius.
The game was so difficult, he actually put it as like a debug mode for when they were developing it, so they could just have this massive amount of lives and they could just play it for testing purposes. So when they went to make the game and they finished it, he forgot to take it out and just left it in the game, and it just stuck. Like, it was, I just think it's hilarious because I don't know if I ever would have beaten Contra as a kid without the Konami code, because that game was pretty tough. I mean, I got good at it, but I got good at it by practicing with the 30 lives.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, I guess it was an early version of like modes for games.
Yeah, because it had the regular side scrolling, then it went to like 3D where you're shooting away from the camera.
Well, not only that, but I meant like modes like today, how we have easy, normal, hard. Back in the NES days, you didn't have that.
That's true.
So if you entered the Konami code on some of Konami's games, I guess it was kind of like unlocking easy mode. So
That's
you
a
could
good point.
So you could learn the game, because you talked like they entered it as kind of a debugging thing. So when you think about it, it's also in the same sense kind of easy mode. So you can make it through the game and learn and get better, and then you don't need the Konami code.
Right, which I kind of liked. Also, Contra was the first game that I remember where you could steal lives from your co-op partner. Like if you press start and then select or something, or I can't remember what the combination was. Oh, no, that's what it was for Bubble Bobble. You could steal lives from Bubble Bobble that way. But I think in Contra, you just hit like A and B together or something.
Yeah.
And you would steal one of your guys' lives. But yeah, so rest in peace, Mr. Hashimoto. We appreciate what you brought to the video game industry, and you'll be missed. But let's go back to the topic at hand. I know that neither you or I are huge multiplayer gamers, but would you ever cheat in order to win?
I would only cheat if the other people, like if it was an open sourced game, like, hey, yeah, go ahead, turn on whatever cheats you want. Then I can understand.
Like big head mode or something like that?
Yeah. Or so we used to play Counter-Strike back in the day and be like, oh yeah, you can only use the knife or rocket launchers only. Like things like that.
Oh, yeah. We used to do that in GoldenEye all the time. Slappers only, or
no odd job. No odd job.
No odd job. Yeah, that was the rule.
So I've just never really been, I guess, a person that would like to cheat in a game, because it takes something away. Like, it's supposed to be a competition, especially if you're playing in multiplayer. Like you're pitting yourself against other people. If you have to cheat, then probably you're not playing with the right group of people.
Or you just should be playing something else. I mean, Sean Fuller made a comment that made me laugh. He said, winning is winning. 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 But I'm a loser. And it just made me laugh because that's how I am. I am terrible at multiplayer games. I've said before, I used to be pretty decent at Gears of War. I was getting pretty good at Titanfall when the first one dropped. But I've never been at the top of any game where I could play competitively, and I would just rather play against AI. So that's why I tend to stay away from multiplayer games that require me to spend hundreds of hours to get to the level that's going to be competitive with anybody. Dude, you should have seen me in a Rocket League. I was the weakest link by far that weekend, a couple weekends ago when we played. It's just ridiculous. And I still was able to have fun, but in most cases, I would just rather have a different kind of fun. I'm not going to do that for an extended period of time. I'm not going to play Rocket League every single night. I'm never going to be that good at it because I'm playing too many other games. So, and I feel like I wouldn't resort to cheating just because I don't feel like I would get the same satisfaction. If I want the satisfaction that badly, I'll just get good at the game and actually earn it.
Yeah.
I'm not, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Troy Ebenezer says it best. Cheaters suck.
Yeah.
So
did you ever play Gears of War Online back in the day?
Yeah.
So do you remember when people would like figure out ways to like slide across the ground or something, or clip through walls and stuff, and we're like, oh, somebody's hacking, and then we'd boot them out of the group?
Oh yeah.
Like it just drove me crazy. Play the game fair. Why are you getting your kicks off of winning when you didn't actually win? If you couldn't win without it, you didn't actually win.
Oh, well, see, for me, like part of the reason I have such a unfortunate taste in my mouth when it comes to multiplayer is early on in my World of Warcraft days when I used to do PvP and Arena.
Mm-hmm.
And early on, I ran into a guy who was botting. So he was using one computer, but controlling multiple characters. And there was
I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh yeah, it's a thing. So what he was doing was he was using like 5 of one character, a shaman. And there was a way that you could cast like the same spell on all 5 characters at once. And you would target one character to just be like, one shot. Okay, you're dead. And I'm like, this is not fun.
Right.
So many a nights of rage quitting when things like that would happen.
Right.
So.
Samuel Smith had a comment because we posed this question to the community, and he said, not a multiplayer answer because I don't really play multiplayer, but I never cheat in any game. I don't use cheat codes. It ruins the experience for me. I never finished a GTA game before GTA 5 because I would end up using cheat codes and then just get bored after a while, and then I would never go back and play it. So I never use cheats ever anymore. And then Dustin Ridling followed up with a comment as well that said, cheats can be fun after beating a game, but not before. And the reason that struck a chord with me is because that's what Game Genie was for. Like I'm not going to sit here and say I never used cheat codes, but Game Genie was a way to prolong the life of a game when you were a kid, when you didn't have the disposable income to just go buy another game. So you used cheat codes just to experience the game in a different way, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, but you bring up a point with that. That is a single player game.
Mm-hmm.
And I will agree with Samuel Smith. I have, to this day, never beaten a Grand Theft Auto game because the moment I start playing with cheat codes, it just becomes, let's see how high I can get my stars up.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get bored after a while because you're like, oh, I've put this code in so many times I have it memorized. Oh, I'm playing the game. Man, I'm being chased. Here, let me just enter a code and get a rocket launcher. Okay, they're gone. Or turn the stars off. Or just drop a tank.
Yeah.
So I feel kind of that way about that.
But I mean, how do you feel? Is it considered cheating if you're playing a single player game? If you're just enjoying a game between you and the screen, is it a cheat?
At that point in time, I'm not necessarily feeling like it's cheating because it's your experience. It's not like you're pitting yourself against someone else. It's just you playing your game that you paid money for, that you can enjoy however you want. But if you enter cheat codes in like a very hard game, you're like, oh yeah, I beat this game, and tell all your friends like, yeah, I beat it, man. Then I feel you're doing yourself a disservice.
It's funny you mention that because I had a comment here from Aaron Peterson that I wanted to bring up. He said, if there are rules and you go to the lengths to break said rules, then you cheated. And yes, banning seems reasonable. That's going to come into the banning later on that we're going to talk about. I'm going to skip ahead here a little bit. He says, I have zero sympathy for someone who whines that they can't play their favorite game when they're trying to cheat at the game they supposedly love. If it's a single player, I don't much care, though. It's your business if you want a cheat code. Just don't brag about beating it or your achievement score if you do it that way. And I'm with him. You can't brag about it. And this is coming from a guy that has found several loopholes for getting achievement points, either easier or found like a glitch in the matrix or something like that. But most games lock you out from earning the achievements if you use any kind of cheat codes or anything like that. So
yeah, and
they still feel earned.
I feel that should be the way.
Yeah. So do you think these cheaters actually get satisfaction from cheating at these games?
Some yes. This is my personal opinion. Some yes, because they are just plain and simple trolls. Like don't feed the trolls, man.
Well, I mean, there is something to be said about people that just their fun is going in and griefing people online.
Yes.
Whether it be cheating at a game or just doing stuff to mess with people, which there can be some humor in that. I've seen some hilarious YouTube videos, but still, they're kind of ruining somebody else's experience for a game that they've paid for as well, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things I was sitting here reading, Jacob Gunderson was like, single-player cheats are really not that big of a deal to me. You are not affecting anyone but yourself. Online play can be very frustrating when people cheat to win. As a big COD fan, some cheats were obvious and others were harder to see. Yes, bans are good. And they do not stop the person from playing under the name. At some point, all you can do is hope to run into that person again. Do they win? Yes. Right then and there. At some level, I am proud of how well I play or compete in some of these games. But what kind of pride do you have knowing that you won and will always win while cheating? I could go on about this, but Facebook is not my soapbox. I completely agree. I have such a hard time. Like you watch like some of these people on YouTube that are cheating and they're like proud of this fact. I kind of despise these people. Like
they're proud that they're cheating, or they're proud that they won?
Both.
Huh.
They're like, look what I did. Like, I found a way to cheat and win. It just really kind of boils my blood watching that, especially when they're the people out there that are legitimately trying to get better at this game. And they're like, look, I can headshot you automatically through 3 walls from across the map while tossing a grenade this direction and killing 4 other players. Like, why? Like, if you have more fun just griefing people, I feel that every game should have just a lobby where it's like, okay, all cheats are allowed in this lobby. Go do whatever you want. And just play your way over here with the other people that like to be stupid and dumb. Now, if all the cheats were active and everything, and everybody had access to them, like, okay, would that person still be as good with the cheats against other people that have these cheats? Like,
interesting.
I would love to see the tables turned on some of them.
I would as well, and I feel like if they had a separate lobby for these guys or girls that want to cheat, they shouldn't be able to go up any kind of ranking or leaderboards. It should just be for sheer fun.
Oh yeah, and
right.
Well, that's casual. Like, there's a lot of games where it's like, oh, casual stuff. Like it takes more hits because we know people are probably not going to be playing legitimately.
Yeah, but in a casual mode too, some people still want a fair game. I would say the majority of people still want a fair game. So there needs to be a casual, a ranked, and then a separate like cheaters room. But I feel like if you did that, nobody would go there because they're basically admitting what they're doing. But if it's allowed, if the developers are allowing you to do it over here, then who cares?
Yeah.
I don't know. I had a comment from Cecily Ann on Facebook that I wanted to read because I thought it was a very insightful one. Because I was asking why cheaters cheat. And she said it's a complex mix of morality and personality involved in cheating, further complicated by all the different reasons people like to win. In other words, winning feels good, and not everyone is concerned about morality in pursuit of the win. Traits like empathy, impulsivity, and guilt, or lack thereof, all factor into someone being more likely to cheat. Unfortunately, the cheater wins unless they're caught. In an ideal, though admittedly not 100% realistic world, I'd love to see a progressive system which starts with warning and loss of anything gained through cheating and leading up to a permanent ban. I just thought that what she said was really thoughtful and makes a lot of sense. It kind of sheds some light on why they cheat. It kind of describes the person they are, why they have that need for that endorphin rush to win, even if it does take cheating to get there. I don't know. It's kind of like a psychology lesson that I'm not at all licensed or equipped to have that kind of conversation, but sounds like she's way smarter than I am when it comes to that.
Yeah, and I can understand where she's coming from, but I'm a little more open-minded about just drop the ban hammer. So,
well, that brings up the next question: what's the proper punishment for cheaters in online games?
Well, I chose a comment, plain and simple, that I love. Michael Grimm, banning. I am all for just dropping the ban hammer.
I'm on the fence because yes, if you cheat, just get out. But we've all done stupid stuff when we were kids, man. You know, and that's where I think is a permanent ban always the right answer.
I didn't say permanent ban. Like you could have a temporary ban. Like first offense, week ban. Second offense, month ban. Third offense, nope. full on just ban hammer. Like drop
So
it.
3 strikes, you're out.
Yep. And at least like, okay, a week, like, yep, that sucks, but I can go a week without gaming. You do it again, a month. Month is a long time. And
Well, yeah, but there's also some people that get banned when they don't deserve it. Brian Mounts said, or is it Mountsy? I don't know how to pronounce it. He said he had his Steam account hacked about 10 years ago, and he got a permanent ban because of whoever hacked his account was cheating. So all those games he purchased are now worthless.
yeah, I mean, that definitely happens. I feel that there should be an appeal form for situations like that. I've lost accounts. Like I lost a World of Warcraft account to the same thing. And that was
How many days were on that account?
many. So, yeah, like that hurts. Like that it's actually part of the reason what led to me like actually leaving that game, among some other things. It's just and that's also why I have an obsession with physical media. When you put all this time and effort into something and somebody can like take it away from you and have it so you can't use it again.
Right.
Like that sucks, man.
I believe it. I have one other comment I wanted to share. This one came from Chip Halt. He said, with so many players in the various multiplayer games, cheating is inevitable. It's also difficult to police for that same reason. I do think there should be tiered punishments beginning with a warning to suspension to banishment. Also, when a player is caught, their account should be flagged so that they are under greater scrutiny. I don't know if it's possible, but is there a way to not only flag an account, but the IP address? That way, if a banned player tries to come back under a new account, they'd still be locked out. Personally, I don't care if someone cheats in a single-player game. To me, it's like cheating in golf when you're playing a round by yourself. That's actually a really good analogy. I love this idea of if you get caught cheating, then you have a red flag attached to your account that, hey, this person was caught cheating, which would probably keep people from wanting to play with you. I don't know. I feel like we live in a world where there's not as much consequences for actions in general. I mean, we all know that people with money can get away with murder, sometimes literally, sometimes figuratively. But, I mean, even at school, man, when a kid gets in trouble and they get suspended, they get out of school for 3 days.
Yeah.
You know, they get to sit in the office and not do work. And I'm sure it might be boring, but they're not having to do their math stuff anymore. They're not having to read a book. They just get to sit there, which as a kid is probably maddening, but I don't know. We need to get back to owning up for what we do.
Yeah. Didn't at one point in time Microsoft actually have like a player rating system?
They did, where you could actually like say, was it like 5 stars or was it?
Yeah, it was
just a binary one.
It was like a 5-star rating system, and like if you got caught cheating with games, like people could start like going against you. But in today's day and age of just cancel culture, I feel that that's kind of a bad thing.
That's totally going to be a bad thing, because if you leave it to the public to judge people, then they're just going to give you a bad rating if they beat you.
I feel that like Microsoft or like any company could do something like that, but say somebody's cheating, you submit a ticket to Microsoft, and Microsoft looks at like, okay, is this valid or not, and then put a mark against them.
Do you have any idea how much manpower that would be to? I mean, in order to do it, because there was the record function, right?
Yeah.
On Xbox, where you could say Xbox record that, and you would like do like 15 or 20 seconds or something. If you could somehow record it, and it would also show the player's name in there that doing whatever they did, and then it goes to Microsoft, and then they investigate. You know, but again, that's a lot of man hours, because if all it takes is a simple little report function, people are going to do it all the time when they just assume somebody's cheating because they beat them.
Yeah. Well, I know you can get hit pretty quickly when you start using abusive language on Xbox right now.
Yes,
so,
I heard about that. Are they recording it, or how's that working? How do they prove it?
You have to report it, and I believe they can go back in and check some things for some games.
I wonder if it's in the user agreement that they can record your voice while you're online. One of those things we never read.
Yeah, probably is.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, this whole thing could be just resolved if people would just be nice, right? Like that's all you need to do.
Yeah, but again, in today's day and age, it's easier to hide behind something and throw some shade from afar rather than just like, hey man, I suck at this game. Can we play together so I can get better? Like,
yeah, nobody's gonna have to swallow their pride and do that. I mean, I have.
Yeah.
I actually like to play with people online that are better than me, but not like god tier level better than me.
Oh yeah,
because I'm not gonna learn if they're that good. But if they're a couple steps ahead of me and they're giving me some pointers and teaching me how the game works and I'm learning from my mistakes, I'm good with that. But it's a struggle to find that happy medium.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, come on, man. Any older platformer game, you are my cheat code. Like, here, Scott, you do this.
And you're my cheat code for shmups because I cannot wrap my brain around how to make those games work well for me. But yeah. So cheater's going to cheat. It's the way it is. So that was a fun topic, man. Thanks for joining me on that.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to try something a little new. We're going to try to have these topics prepped and ready to go for the following week. So next week, we've got our topic already lined up, and we got a special guest to be joining us. So next week, Chris is not going to be here, unfortunately. He's going to have to work.
Aww.
So we're bringing on from the community, Mr. Cody Chambers, and he wanted to talk about overhyping games. You know how like you get overhyped or you get so pumped about a game. When does it get too far to when it just ruins your experience, and how do you handle that? So looking forward to that episode. And we're going to say hello to some new members over on Facebook, which you can join the Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/thegocast. Want to say hello to Antoine Morad, Louis Six-String Peterson, Amanda Jones, and Randy Marks. We've also got a couple people over at Discord we want to say hello to that joined the link, which is found in our show notes. Hello to Cody Martinez and Nate W. I hope you guys are enjoying the conversations at both of those avenues. Also, if you guys would please do us a favor, head over to iTunes and give us a review. We would love to hear from you about how the show's doing and ways that we can improve. But also, those ratings get us a little bit more exposure. We want to get this show in more people's ears. So please do that. It really does help us out. Also, I've got several written reviews for you up at the website. Again, that is thegamingoutsider.com. CB did a review for a game called Sisters Royale, 5 Sisters Under Fire, which he talked about on a couple episodes ago. I talked to Rel, who played a game called Broken Lines on PC. You can read about that. And then Spencer did a review for Skellboy. He really liked that game, which is crazy because he hates RPGs, but he loved Skellboy for some reason. I reviewed that Metroidvania Bookbound Brigade. Man, that title is such a tongue twister. That game's worth checking out, by the way. And then lastly, we also published today Thomas's review of The Blind Prophet on PC, which is a point-and-click adventure. Surprise, surprise. But he really, really liked it quite a bit, so be sure to check that out. With that, we're going to jump into the games we've actually been playing. All right, so this is the part of the show where normally I pass it off to Zach to tell us what games are coming out. Unfortunately, since he was not able to be here, I went online and looked to see what was coming out. There's nothing, guys. There's nothing. This is definitely the calm before the storm because next week things start ramping up. There are some titles, but nothing I feel like either of us or any of our listeners would be too interested in. If I'm wrong on that, call me out on it, but I did not see anything, so I just decided to skip it, and we're going to go ahead and jump into the games that we've actually had a chance to get our hands on. So, CB, we're going to start with you. 2 Point Hospital, which is a game that dropped on Game Pass this past week, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes, it did.
Okay, this looks like a tycoon game in a hospital. How far off am I?
No, you're hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
But it's comical.
Okay. That was going to be my next question because it looked humorous, very tongue-in-cheek.
Yes. It's a lot of fun. I've been playing it for probably 18 hours.
Holy cow.
Yeah, dude, I really like it. I love these old tycoon style games. It's so you start in a small area and you have like a checklist to get through the first area. Like, oh, you have to like cure so many patients to move on to like the next hospital. And you just keep building up your organization of multiple hospitals. I think last I checked, my total value is like close to 10 million.
So you've already broken the game.
No, not yet.
Okay.
But I did get one of the harder achievements. So it's a lot of fun. It's very funny. Some of the like you'll have clowns come into your hospital and you have to like humor them or God, there's this one like people will come in with like pots on their head and you have to like build this machine that like removes the pots from their head, or they have lightheadedness where they have a light bulb as a head and the machine like unscrews the light bulb and puts a head back on them.
So are these like stations that you set up to, and this stuff happens automatically? Like I'm thinking like StarCraft, where you have these things that are like constantly churning out materials or something like that.
Yes. So they do that, but you have doctors, nurses, janitors, and assistants. Like doctors can only perform certain functions. Nurses, janitors, like each one can only perform certain functions. But you also have to like keep your hospital rating up. So you have to have the janitors to keep the hospital clean. If you don't have enough janitors, like the patients will literally start to pee on the floor. But the other problem is like your people get tired. So you have to like build them a break room and they have to take a break for a while. So if you don't have enough staff to replace them, patient lines just start lining up. At one point in time, early on, like I had a patient that had been waiting in the hospital like 227 days to get cured.
Wow. Just sat in the waiting room for 3/4 of a year?
Yeah, because I didn't have the proper room built yet to cure them.
You just forget about them?
Yeah, and I will definitely say the difficulty curve in this game ramps up real quick.
See, I feel like you still need to sell me on this type of game because just the way you're describing it sounds like Management the video game, and that does not sound fun.
It really is Management the video game.
I don't know.
It's probably not a game for you.
Well, I mean, but I loved like Civilization back in the day. You know what I mean? Where you were managing your people, your city, and your empire, so to speak. Yeah. I dug that, but I also felt like I was always moving forward somehow.
Well, I mean, you're moving forward in the way that you're unlocking. Like each new hospital has like new challenges that you have to somehow overcome. The hospital that I'm currently in is in a cold section of the country. So every time you build or unlock a new wing of the hospital, you have to find ways to heat it. Okay. And so there's like different ways to do that. I know reading through the item list, there's going to be an area where you're in a warm part of the country, and the cheap way to cool your hospital is by building ice sculptures. Okay. So it's just very much
forget air conditioning. We're going to put up an ice sculpture.
Air conditioning's expensive, man. So it's very comical just how you have to do some of the things in this game. Okay. I'm just having a lot of fun with it. So
it sounds like you recommend it.
I would recommend it for people that like these types of games. If you don't, this game, you're going to hate it.
Okay.
So
that is 2 Point Hospital, and you're playing that on Xbox One, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Well, I got a question. I need you to sell me on this game, Evoland.
Well, it's funny you say I have to sell you because you're the one that sold me on it.
I know.
You messaged me and said, Scott, I found a game you need to play. And I got to give a shout out to Patrick over at the EXP Cast because he's the one that actually recommended this game months ago. I mean, I'm talking a long time ago. And I was like, that sounds kind of interesting. And for whatever reason, I never looked into it and I never picked it up. But, you mentioned it and I'm like, all right, I have to give this game a shot. That's like 2 people that have told me I need to play this game. So I did. So Evoland is actually it's like a 7-year-old game. So it's been re-released on Switch with a collection of Evoland and Evoland 2. But the cool thing about Evoland, I First off, I adore this game. I probably won't play it again. I played through it once. It's about 3 or 4 hours. That's how short it is, which sounds like not a good selling point, but it is the perfect length for what this game is. Because Evoland is called Evoland because it is a world that constantly evolves. So the game opens up. The graphics look like old Game Boy graphics. It's in black and white, and that's it. You literally can only move left and right. That's all you can do to start out with. And what happens is there are these treasure chests that you find, and every time you get a treasure chest, it unlocks not an ability, it unlocks some mechanic in the game that improves the gameplay somehow. So I get this chest. Now it turns from black and white to that greenish color that the Game Boy was. You know what I mean? And then you find another treasure chest, and now there's music. Then you find another treasure chest, and now you have a sword. Then you find another treasure chest, and now there's enemies. And it starts out super, super basic, but then the game just continues to evolve. And the fun part about it is that every time you get one of these chests, it does this little message at the bottom that'll say something kind of tongue-in-cheek. So it almost feels like, you remember pop-up videos from VH1 back in the 90s?
Yeah.
It almost feels like a pop-up video telling the history of role-playing games. Because you'll go through and now I've got turn-based combat. Now I've got, now I'm actually earning experience. Now I've got 3 hearts instead of getting a one-hit kill that I was getting at the beginning of the game. The game just keeps going and going and going. So when you started at this rudimentary, like Game Boy-ish looking graphics, eventually it turns into, it looks like PlayStation 1 era graphics. You know, because everything, just tiny little things evolve on the way up. Like, oh, now I've got 16-bit graphics in the background. Now the music is 16-bit. And then, like, when you get to the PS1 era, it actually even has a loading screen with a disc that's spinning.
Oh,
it's just,
Jesus!
It's just little things that are just super clever. It's a very simple game. It's only about 3 or 4 hours, but it is charming as hell, man. It is so good, and I cannot recommend it enough. I am so glad you reminded me of this game so I could pick it up because it's a lot of fun.
Okay, have you started into Evoland 2?
I did, and I just started it last night, and I am pleasantly surprised. It does a great job, and again, I'm very, very early on, but it's doing a great job of straddling that line between doing what the first game did with the evolving, but making it a little bit more of an in-depth RPG. Like, this one's supposed to be 20 hours, as opposed to the 3 or 4 that the first one took.
Okay.
And this one expands on it even more because there are beat-em-up portions. There are shmup portions.
Mm.
There are match 3 puzzle game portions. So you've got all these different gameplays built into one, but it's all building on the same story. And they do something with time travel because the game started out the very rudimentary, but then all of a sudden they fast forwarded and I was in, the modern graphics. And by modern, I mean like 16-bit.
Okay.
But I'm really digging it. I can't wait to go play some more actually tonight before I go to bed. It's that good. I'm really digging it. So Evoland, if you are a fan of old school RPGs and eventually modern RPGs, there's even in the first one there's even a Diablo section where instead you switch characters and now it's not a Zelda style dungeon, where you've got the sword and bats and slimes and stuff. Then it'll go to a turn-based JRPG combat, and then it goes into a Diablo combat where you just got hordes of enemies coming at you, and you're collecting gold, and it's great. It's just seriously a lot of fun. I can't recommend it enough. Evoland. I'm playing it on Switch. It's like $20 for both games. Like I said, if you play the first one, you're like finish it in 3 hours. You're like, what? The second one, it just keeps going with what the first one did. So it really almost feels like one game, even though they're completely different stories. So, yeah.
All right.
I want to hear you talk about this game, Stone, that you're playing on Xbox. This is the one where you play as a koala that reminds me of the Big Lebowski.
Well, first off, do I really have to talk about this game?
You brought it up. Okay.
Well, it's not good.
Okay.
So yeah, you play as a private eye detective koala whose lover has disappeared in the middle of the night and receives a phone call that he's never going to see them again and don't call the police. So it is a story about him finding out what happened. And man, like I saw the original trailer for this. I wanted to like this game so much. Like I was kind of excited for it. And man, this game fell flat on its face.
What's the gameplay like? Because all I could see from the trailer is you walk around in your apartment and just complain about stuff.
It feels like it feels like a Telltale game.
Okay.
Like walking around looking for things, click on the things, have a small little like talk about it real quick, move on, click on a thing, talk to some people, go through like there's different like avenues or options. Like, I'm going to talk. Yeah, permutations. I was trying to think of the proper word there. So you talk to the person and you're just trying to solve this. However, the voice acting in this game is Shenmue level bad.
Whoa, wow. Okay.
The artistic style I can understand, like I can appreciate it. That's not the most like worst part about it, because it's the 3D models are actually, you can tell it's a budget title, but it's not terrible. But my biggest problem is each one of the levels is unbelievably short. I don't think I was in one level for more than like 3 to 5 minutes.
Oh, wow. How many levels are there?
There's 6 chapters, there's 6 acts, 3 chapters per act. So
okay.
You walk into a building and you're like, okay, look around, find the thing, talk to like 1 or 2 people. Boom. And it ends with like these title cards. So it's just like, boom, chapter 1 is done. Loading, chapter 2. Walk into the room, find like 2 or 3 objects, talk to a person, done. Title card. Like loading, title card. I felt that the game, I spent more time looking at title cards and loading screens than actually playing the game.
That sounds like a game from the 90s.
It really does feel like a game. It felt like a game on 3DO.
Wow.
And
well, thanks for dodging that bullet, taking that bullet for me.
And not only that, like I actually had multiple bugs in this game.
Okay. What happened?
So there's your character at any point in time can start smoking. Like you just press B and like your character will smoke. So there's a point where you're in a police station talking to a Tasmanian devil named Devil, who happens to be a like police officer. And you finish your conversation and you can tell like, okay, here's where it's supposed to move on to the next chapter, but it doesn't. And so I start pushing buttons. So I pull out a cigarette and my character immediately flips over and is like starts floating around the room on his head, smoking a cigarette.
In what's basically a point and click adventure game?
Yeah.
That's bizarre.
I was like, what is going on? And so I actually,
needless to say, you don't recommend this game.
I would only recommend this game if you paid less than $3 for it and was just like, hey, I feel like I have nothing better to do. So,
wow, that's a glowing recommendation from Chris Berensmeyer.
So, yeah.
All right, well, we do have one more game to talk about. I sat down and talked to Josh Ershman from our contributing writers community, and he played a game called Zombie Army 4 Dead War, and you're going to hear that review right now. Boy, it's been a long time since we talked to Mr. Josh Ershman. How you doing, Josh?
Doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing quite well myself. I appreciate you stopping by because you were here to talk to us about a game that you've been reviewing for us called Zombie Army 4 Dead War. This one comes from Rebellion, and thanks to Evolve PR for hooking you up with a copy to try this one out. Now, I want you to tell me about this one because I know very little, but a couple people I've talked to have compared it to Borderlands 3, only fun, which I know is a bold statement for some people to say because a lot of people do like Borderlands, but is there a comparison to Borderlands with this?
I mean, there is, because there is up to 4-player co-op. It is a lot of fun to play. So I started playing it single player, but this game is truly meant to be played with others.
Okay. Is it a looter shooter like Borderlands, though? I mean, is that...
No, there's no looter shooter aspect of it at all, honestly. I mean, there's grenades and stuff you can pick up.
Okay.
Maybe they're just comparing like the co-op gameplay, maybe.
Okay. Well, and I'll be honest, I didn't even know that Zombie Army 1, 2, and 3 was a thing. So I have no familiarity with this franchise, if you will, or series of games. Is there an overarching story between all four of them, or?
There's like an overarching story. I mean, the story is not like super in depth. It's just this one obviously takes place after the trilogy, and basically Adolf Hitler is dead now, and you're basically in the Dead War, which is basically the fight to kill as many zombies as you can, and also try and stop the war of zombies from flooding the rest of Europe.
So where did the zombies? What started this apocalypse, or do you know?
I'm not sure from the other games. I didn't finish all the stories on the other ones. It's not super deep into the story. Like, it gives you like some during like the cutscenes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the cutscenes are pretty good. A majority of this game takes place in Italy. So you're actually traveling around different parts of Italy. You get to actually go to Venice and stuff too, which is really cool.
Sweet. You can see the canals and all that?
Yep, you get to see the canals, and you're actually traveling through the canals by boat. And you get lots of different... I get 3 sets of weapons, so you obviously have a sniper rifle, because it's a sniper game, a secondary gun, and then a pistol.
That's interesting. You said that this is a sniper game, because I know that Rebellion is known for the Sniper Elite series, correct?
Correct. This has the same engine as Sniper Elite 4.
Okay, so does it play similarly? Because I played those games, and I just wanted to sit back and snipe all the time, and I found myself getting spotted, and then I had to, always wind up just in a firefight.
Yeah,
is this the same kind of thing?
Yep, it plays very similarly. It has a lot of the sniper aspects. Obviously, since it is zombies and hordes of zombies, you're doing less time sniping and more time with, like, your secondary weapon. I actually use my sniper rifle quite frequently, honestly. I try and get back and just take as many people out with my sniper, just because it's so strong. And then I use a shotgun as my secondary. I tried all the different guns. There's a Thompson, there's an MP44, there's a trench gun, which I use, and an M30 drilling. The drilling's just a double barrel shotgun.
So you're saying that the sniper is so strong? Is it like a one-shot kill?
So the one that I use it's called the Mosin. Not the Mosin, but I believe it's the Mosin, and it just shreds zombies. I mean, you can take out 3 or 4 of them at a time.
Oh, nice. And if you get far enough away, then you can just kind of thin the herd, as it were, and then finish them off with your secondary weapon?
Exactly.
Okay. So it sounds like you're digging this game, but the 4-player co-op seems to be a big selling point for this, because that wasn't in the Sniper Elite games. Those only did 2-player co-op, right?
Correct.
Okay, so how easy is it to get into matches? Are you just going to play with your buddies, or is there can you just randomly match up with somebody?
So what I usually do, if I don't know anyone on, I'll just hop into an online lobby. You can go into matchmaking, and you can look for games with people. It's all based on the different maps that's in Dead War. Mm-hmm. So just goes into those, and then you can select to join one of them. You just join randomly, and I mean, they could be at some people have mics. Barely have found anyone with a mic, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Most people just have like either their $5 mic that they get with their Xbox or PlayStation. It sounds really horrible, so you just mute them anyway.
I hear you. So is this a straight linear story then, or is it have branching?
Linear. Straight linear. Like the maps are little open-ended. Like they'll have you. So usually most maps you have to turn on like switches to like turn on generators so that you can like open doors to other parts of the map. And then usually you'll get to a part and it'll be waves and waves of zombies to get to like the next part.
Okay.
You're trying to shut down these it's basically like an eye of the storm in each of the maps, and it's basically the uplink that keeps bringing zombies in, and you're trying to destroy that. That's at the end of basically every map.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be direct with you, Josh, because this sounds pretty standard. Like it just sounds like just a standard shooter, but you're really digging it. So what's the big selling point of this game? Is it other than the 4-player co-op?
I mean, the 4-player co-op, I really enjoy the X-ray kills. That's honestly what I really dig in this game.
Oh, so those are back.
The X-ray kills are back, and since they're obviously decomposing humans, you can get a X-ray kill with about 3 to 4 zombies at once. Like, I think I shot one, it went through a zombie's head, went through another guy's liver, went through the next zombie's kneecap, and went through the 4th zombie's foot.
Now, does that do that with every sniper shot that you do?
Not everyone. It's very random. If you play by yourself, it happens a lot more than if you're in co-op. But in co-op, it's really cool. So, say like teammate 2 or 3 does it, it slows down your thing too and shows the slow-mo, which is really cool, unless they skip past it.
That sounds cool, but it does sound like it would get annoying fast, especially with as many zombies as it sounds like you're going through. You can skip it at least.
Yeah, you can skip it. There are definitely a lot of frustrating parts of this game. One of the biggest problems I have with it is so like you do have a pistol, but your pistol maybe has like a few magazines worth of bullets in it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why in games especially at this point, especially with like a wave-based shooter like this, that we can't have unlimited bullets like on your pistol, because your pistol's not as strong.
Right. I mean, that was a standard back in the games back in the day.
Yeah. And they do have like upgrades for your weapons in this game. So you can basically upgrade your weapons as you go. So it's not like just the same generic weapon that you started with. You can get things like more ammo, more slugs. You can also get electronic and explosive attachments to your guns. So like once you hit your charge up of weapons, you can like I shoot electric bullets and it'll shock all the zombies in the area.
Oh, that's cool. So the upgrade sounds super satisfying.
Yeah, they're super satisfying, and there's temporary ones that you can pick up in the map. They come in these real large yellow containers, and you open them, and like it'll give you like 15 electric shots or 15 explosive shots. So then you can, really go through the zombies.
And that sounds like Area 51, like when you would get one of those, like the shotgun or whatever. You would shoot the shotgun, then you had just a few shots of a shotgun for a while. Or whatever. That's what it reminds me of.
And obviously it's not just generic zombies, because I mean that would get really boring really fast.
Sure.
There is epic zombies, so there's a flamethrower zombie, like you hit him in the first match, and you have to basically shoot his tank to get him to explode. It's about 5 shots to his tank to get him to go down.
Nice.
There's other ones with giant machine guns. There's also like the necromancers, so they can like basically bring other zombies back to life. So, I mean, they definitely make a challenge by throwing new enemies at you, so you always have to be thinking on your feet. It doesn't get stale.
Sounds good. Well, this sounds to me like just a straight-up fun arcade shooter with co-op partners. So am I correct in assuming that you're going to recommend this one to the listeners?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend this to the listeners. I don't know if I would pick it up at $60. I would probably wait for a sale, maybe like $40 or something.
Right. Any idea of the length?
The length, I mean, it's pretty lengthy. This is one of those games where you're not going to want to sit there and play it for like a long period of time. Sure. I noticed when playing it with friends and stuff, like you maybe like want to play a map, which can usually take you 30 to 40 minutes usually.
Right.
And like maybe go play something else, just because it gets very frustrating very quickly.
Gotcha. Well, again, that is Zombie Army 4 Dead War. Josh, thanks so much for stopping by to talk to us about this game. It sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you later, all right?
All right, you have a good one.
All right, and that's going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. CB, any parting words or recommendations for the listeners before we head out?
Man, no, I don't really got nothing this week. Just be good humans.
Be good humans.
Yeah, it's
And wash your hands.
Yes, wash your hands.
Yeah.
So,
well, we apologize. This episode's a little bit shorter. It's surprisingly hard to keep a engaging conversation going when it's just two of us. So, Zach, we miss you. Hope to have you back next week. But to everybody out there, thanks so much for listening. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Chris Behrensmeyer, and we are The Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.